My teacher is so mean. She gives us more homework than anyone could possibly keep up with. Doesn't she know that school is not the only thing in my life? Boy Scout meetings to go to. I've got swim team that I have to go to practices for. I've got guitar lessons to go to. And on top of all of that, my parents expect me to do chores around the house every day. Then they gripe at me that I haven't gotten my homework done. When do I have time just to hang out and be a kid?
I've been a teacher for over 30 years, and I do not understand kids these days. They have every opportunity, all that's available to them, and all they want to do is complain. They complain about how much homework I give them to do at night. Oh, but that doesn't stop them from blogging every entire detail of their life on Facebook, or tweeting their friends, or searching through YouTube. Kids don't talk to each other these days. I see them in the lunchroom, and they've all got their heads buried in their phones, tweeting and texting. And I looked over, and the person they're tweeting or texting to is 3 feet away. Don't kids realize how valuable education is these days? I'm just trying to help them get through it, not give them busy work like they claim. Besides, I have to check that stuff every night. I just want them to be successful. And all I get from them is, "Oh, sorry, the dog ate my jump drive."
I can't believe my parents gave me an 11 o'clock curfew. Can you believe it? All my other friends get to stay out until 12, but I have to come home early. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Are they trying to ruin my social life? And not only that, if I wear a skirt or a shirt that shows any skin at all, they act like I'm dressing like a tramp or something. I mean, really. Have they seen what all the other kids are wearing these days? If they had it their way, I'd be wearing a long-sleeve turtleneck shirt with long pants every day to school. I mean, you might as well just put a big loser stamp on my forehead.
I cannot believe that I hurt my knee climbing a stair. One step, boom, it goes off. What's up with that? Seems like anything I do nowadays, something goes wrong with the old body. I hate to even think about what it's going to be like when I turn 40. Some people might think that's funny. I don't. You know, at least I have health insurance, but oh my, the premiums. Every year they keep going up and up and up. I have no control over it. Come to think of it, I have little control over anything related to money nowadays. Super committee. 2 words, right? Whew. They were anything but super if you ask me. It seems like the only thing that our leaders do now in Washington is to use a national crisis as a way to promote their own self-interests or their own political parties. You know what I mean? Used to be when our nation was confronted with a crisis like the debt, well, the both sides could come together and find a middle ground and go ahead. But nope, they don't, do they? Neither do they do anything, nor do the politicians in Rome do anything, or in Athens, or in Paris. And who pays the price? We do. Who knows where our retirement funds will be or our kids' college funds will be? I don't. It's out of my hands. But at least I can, when my knee allows me to, come and sit in this chair and just sort of think about some of these things. Everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is complaining. Why not me? Why not me? It's just doing face down. It is the picture of my family that we took for the pictorial directory. I had forgotten that was here. You know, my wife and I have been married for over 21 years. And it's 21 years of sharing joys and sometimes dealing with sorrows, of celebrating promises and tiptoeing around pitfalls. And through it all, our love has continued growing, and so fortunate that our commitment is stronger than ever. She is a lucky woman. But I'm a lucky guy. Very much so. And our kids. You know, I remember when Cameron was born, that very morning, I made a promise to myself that I would do my best to grow younger in spirit as he grew older in years. And I'm not always succeeding in doing that, but I've tried. And when Emma came along, I reaffirmed that vow. And I've been delighted in the times when they served as my teachers, like when they have reminded me of how wonderful it is when you can take time and look at the marvel of a bug or a butterfly or a lizard. Or the time when they reminded me how delicious it is, that sweet, creamy, cold deliciousness of a double scoop cake batter ice cream in a waffle cone on a 95-degree day. Or that time when we would sled down a snowy hill and feel the cold air rushing against your cheeks, and you'd feel and you hear the crunch of the snow under the sled, and you get down to the bottom and you'd tumble over and you laugh with each other, then you'd pull the sled back up and do it over and over again until it was just time to go in and have that hot chocolate that was not made with water, but made with milk, 100% whole milk, you know. They have, and to continue, they have taught me and they continue to teach me well. My family, what a blessing. I need to see that picture more often, I guess. And, this old Bible was given to me in 1977 by Willis Cochran. He was a fellow seminarian with me down in Atlanta. I had preached for Willis one Sunday, and he gave me this as a thank you gift. I've carried it with me for over 35 years. You know, some people have the Revised Standard Version, the RSV. Some people have the King James Version, the KJV. I have the DTV, the duct tape version. You know, duct tape's one of my two favorite things in life. The other is whiteout. They're just, you can do anything with that. And whenever I see this Bible, I remember the times, I think it was back in about 86, when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Before I met Barb, and I felt very lonely and scared, quite frankly, and took a Bible, and don't do this very often, but one evening just threw it open, see where it might land, and you know it landed in Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, and so I looked, I read the verse, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, to give you a future and a hope." And I said to myself at that time, that evening, wow, remember that. Remember other wows as well, because this is an Oxford Study Edition of the Bible, and I'd use that to dig into some of the other books of the Bible, do some deep mining, if you will, especially the book of Job, and the treasures that you could find when you're able to spend some time that way. Just amazing. And this Bible took with me whenever I'd lead Bible studies for youth and for college kids and for adults. And I remember many of their faces to this day, and remember their comments and their insights that helped me gain more insights as well into God's Word. Yeah, when I see this Bible, I am struck by God's goodness, God's mercy, and the guidance that He has given, lo, these many years. Speaking of the guidance He gives, I just remember that it was a few days ago I looked at James leading that Bible study for Wednesday programs that we have, the 5th chapter, and I was struck by this verse. Beloved, do not grumble against one another so that you may not be judged. Do not grumble. Now this was written during the golden era of the early church, you know, the Camelot period, if you will. And even back then, people in church were grumbling. They were sitting in their chairs and they were grumbling with each other. Instead of looking at the positives with their brothers and sisters and the strengths and how they added to each other in the diversity, no, they would grumble against each other. How natural it is to grumble, even back then. Then James went on to say, you have heard of the endurance of Job. Now, Job did complain, but you know, Job went on the other side of complaining. He finally had a revelation from God. Saw God face to face, because he went past the grumbling and his faith enabled him to see that which we only wish we could see. And he says, you have seen the purpose of the Lord, James says, how the Lord is compassionate and merciful. How the Lord is compassionate and merciful. You know, maybe you just don't need to look back and remember about how God has been faithful in the past and how generous God's been. Maybe it's important to be able to look around right now and see how God is compassionate and merciful today. Maybe that's the key. If we're ever to get out of the grumbling habit, get out of the comfortable grumbling chair, it seems to me that we need to cultivate an ability to every day see signs of God's compassion and mercy. Certainly not easy to do. Not easy to do. There are some mornings that I will wake up and I'm feeling anything but positive. I have to admit that. Some reason, it's like maybe some worry demon countered me when my defenses were down in the middle of the night while I was asleep. And when I wake up, I think of the possible bad things that might happen today or in the future. I don't know why that is. But one morning I remember, I was sort of tossing and turning because of this. Before I got out of bed, I sort of remember praying and asking God, could you help me with this? And there was this inner voice. I remember that, this inner voice that said, well, Greg, why not today? Why not ask yourself 3 questions? What beauty will you see in the world today? What wonderful people will you meet today? And what things will you experience and enjoy today? This came right out of the blue. What beauty in this world will you see? What wonderful people will you meet? What wonderful things will you experience and enjoy? Now, I've not been perfect in living out those questions every day. I have to admit that. But when I am conscious of doing that and asking myself those things, it seems like it's a little easier to look and see signs of God's compassion and mercy all around. Things that would ordinarily I would have ignored because I wasn't looking for them. Like when you encounter an old friend, a friend that you've grown up with and have grown older with, and he knows all about you and you him, and yet you all are bound together by the tight cords of friendship. That is a sign of God's compassion and mercy. Or like when you're entertaining at home and you look around and you think, yeah, I should do this or I should do that. And your friends are complimenting you on your house, and then you think to yourself, why am I taking these things for granted? Look around. How blessed. Or when you stop by a tree lot, that the church has, or fair trade market, or any of the services where so many volunteers put in so much time because they have the love of Christ and they want to make a difference. Wow, no one told them to do this. They want to do that. Sign of God's love, active, vibrant, powerful right now. They're all over, these signs of God's compassion, signs of God's mercy. And it strikes me only when we take time, only when we're in that frame of mind where we have the ability to ask ourselves, what beauty will I see? What wonderful people will I meet? What experiences will I enjoy? When we're able to ask ourselves questions like that and look around, then is when we're able finally to get up from one chair and start sitting, looking for and sitting in another. easiest thing in this world is to sit and grumble. Everybody's encouraging us to do that, news, friends. But there really comes a time when you just have to get up. You have to replace the grumbling chair with the Thanksgiving chair. There comes a time when you need to do that. And friends, for you and for me, today is the time.